Well, hey everybody. It's a recap. It's day three of betting both sides. How's it going? Let's talk about the games. There's a lot that happened today. I got some bets in on some games I didn't play, some games I wish I did play, some games I wish I didn't cash out. There's like all kinds of different things happened. Interesting day. I don't know if I'm up yet because there's still a basketball game going. I think I might have lost a little, but I also didn't finish off some bets. So we're going to talk about some things game by game today. I learned a lot as well today. This is pretty interesting stuff. So really looking at every game now, of course, we still look at, who's supposed to win and what was the score supposed to be. Algorithm kicking out exact scores, 6-1, 6-1. I mean, let's just make this clean to look at for a second. Let's just round it. 6-1, 6-1, 3-3, 3-1. This one's a complete miss. Talk about the Montreal game. 4-1, 4-1. Perfect. A little more scoring. I mean, look at these. Like the under in this game. Remember I said under, two good goaltenders? Absolutely. And pretty darn close here as well. So interesting games. Now, so let's talk about, I like putting the decimal up there anyway, though. So let's talk about each game. Anaheim Tampa Bay was not supposed to be a good game for betting both sides because it was supposed to be one-sided. It absolutely was. So, I mean, I guess if you're not going to play the game as a game that's supposed to oscillate, I guess you do kind of load up on the favorite. However, like, what do you do? I mean, I guess you just stay away from a lot of games with terrible lines. That's the conclusion I'll come to on that. Now let's go Montreal, Jersey. Montreal had been playing better out of the break, but the algorithm just did not pick this. I bet it. I actually bet them to win at like plus 285, and they crushed it. So, but the algorithm didn't say that. So it was a game to stay away from because it wasn't supposed to be close. However, Montreal did win. So that's the algorithm not properly picking that they're playing that good, but they're starting to now. After we see they're at 67% now, and that would move their pick up a little, but still not. It still picks New Jersey, so the algorithm misses that game. Never bet against Martin St. Louis, as I always say. Detroit and Washington, algorithm picks off the underdog, no problem. Washington losing, I think they said they lost 5 straight in regulation or something. That's not normal. Hasn't happened since I think the turn of the century. I don't know, a long time. Bad. St. Louis and Carolina, here you get the exact score. It was not supposed to be a good game because Carolina was supposed to do this, and they did. Toronto Buffalo is a hard miss for me. Algorithm didn't miss all that bad. I mean, algorithm said Toronto was going to win this game. I just personally don't like Toronto all that much and think they blow games. So I tried the arbitrage, the betting both sides situation here, and it did not work out. They were down the whole time. So that was a miss. So that one was supposed to be a game to bet both sides. So you lose the unit on that game. Because you never get a chance to bet Toronto. Vancouver and Nashville was amazing for betting this because you were supposed to start out with Vancouver. And then they got behind, so you could never bet Nashville. But at the very end, they tied it up for no reason in the last few minutes, so you could cash out in overtime and get reasonable money and make some money because they were tied going into overtime. So even though they lost, they at least came back close to make it enough of a game that you could get paid through betting on. Only one side is what you were able to bet in this game, but it came back for you late. And cash out in-game cash out options make you take that there when they get tied, and you can't bet the other side. That's the thing, is you can't bet the other side because it was still a favorite on Nashville the whole time. So that was interesting to at least get something there. The advantages of betting the underdog. LA, Minnesota, hard miss. They never do anything except it was supposed to bet the under here. That was supposedly a better bet, but LA never scores. They tried, but they didn't. Gustafson, very good goaltender for Minnesota. He's definitely replacing Fleury the way things are going with him. His rating's too good, and he seems to be quite sturdy in there. Next game, we got Laurent Brossoit making his first start this season, and of course, he loses the game twice. He loses the game with 0 seconds left in overtime by letting Patrick Kane hit a slap shot by him that they decided to not allow, saying time had expired, and then he loses in the shootout. 5-hole. So that's what you get with the new goalie sometimes, looking for the first win in the first start. And Chicago pulls this off. So because of the spotty goaltending situation, you could have known outside of what the algorithm had, because we had to put some goalie stats in here to make this thing work. And I gave him a better goalie stats than he should have gotten, I guess. Anyway, so Chicago wins that game, and that's kind of interesting game there. And then Philly was fantastic for betting both sides, because Philly was up the whole time until the third period. So you did have options to take Edmonton at plus lines in the third period when they were still down a goal before they got a 4-minute power play and destroyed Philadelphia, because McDavid is awesome. So this worked out very well for betting both sides, because you had the opportunity to bet Edmonton. It was right at the time where you were worried that they would come back and win, and you could still get a positive line. So it worked out. Philly held up long enough to get paid there. So it was a mixed day, but not a bad day. It's a mixed day, but not a bad. You definitely lost a couple games hard, like LA and in Buffalo, but Buffalo didn't really save Buffalo all that much. Like, if you really look at this, that's just me. So let's go over to college basketball, which had an interesting day and is still finishing up. There's still 2 games finishing up right now. Nevada is up by 6 with 5 minutes left, so they're looking pretty good. And Colorado, I think, is also losing to San Diego State, but it's earlier. So let's take a look at the games that actually got completed today. It says 15-9 is what we are, winning 63% overall. 11-13 on the spread. It is impossible to do well on the spread. I said that in the video comment thread for Picks with the Professor. Professor Sides, if you've seen his videos, he does a really extensive job, great job. He's got his own model and predicts games, and he takes into account a lot of things that even I don't take into account. I go back and forth, and some days his keys me off to stuff about, especially about betting, and other times the algorithm does really, really well against this model. And so it's like, I like to compare, because he'll give you every game and he'll go over every game and do extensive videos. Anyway, he likes to pick against the spread though. And I'm just like, man, how can you consistently win against the spread? Because nobody can. Like, that's why it's the spread. Like, it's supposed to cut every game in half when it comes to how many points the team might win by. Teams try to win games, they don't try to cover points. So that's why I care more about winners, and I do the profitability over here by winners, right? Like, are we profitable today? It looks like barely at the bottom, but I want to show you some things about the profitability, because we're looking at every game right now, which is not the way we bet them. So let's talk about first. Well, I want to talk about injuries, but first we'll talk about home teams. Home teams are 9-2 right now. And there's also Nevada and San Diego State. Nevada's doing pretty good and is ahead and will probably win. So as for the games that are finished, though, 9-2, 6-5 on the over-under, still 5-6 on the spread. Well, what lost here? Something is obvious. Xavier, because that was a game I talked about today. I said that's a huge injury number, 66, which means you definitely don't take Xavier at minus 200 for sure. I said take Villanova to start off the game. Villanova ended up being my most profitable college basketball pick of the day. I had them. Let me look on my phone. I had them. I got to dig, but it was at like plus 285 or something. I got them early on. Let me dig. I'll find it. We're scrolling. We're looking. I got two. Wait, that's why I'm not talking about all my bets, because there were so many. I just have to give you what happened in the games. Where are you? I'll tell you what I have is I have Xavier at plus 164, because I did do the strategy and I took them at some point. But I took Villanova at plus 250. I got them in the first half. That was my biggest cashing bet. It was $30 that paid 105 was the biggest single cashing bet of the day, and it was Villanova. And I covered it with $30 on Xavier just because I was like, anybody can win this game. I got them at plus 164. So the worst case scenario, I would have got 0.64 units on Xavier. Worst case scenario, I ended up getting 1.5 net profit units because Villanova won. And there were cash out options in the middle. This game was very easy to win because of this injury. When you see that Xavier isn't as strong as they're supposed to be, and you play the game under that premise that it will be close, Villanova took a lead, fell behind, and then came back, I believe. I think that's the way it went. Anyway, so them losing is not a loss, and I'm going to remove them from the list in a second when I show you what we're going to do. Other loss, Air Force. The only value pick of the day, actually the two value picks of the day actually lose, because Xavier was the other one, but they were injured. Air Force was not injured. They were fine in the first half, and they blow it. I don't get it. They blew it hard. They came back, made it close, and then blew it again. Like, just whatever. I mean, you lose one, that's the one. Unfortunately, it's the value pick. Sucks. Odds makers had them in a different structure than the algorithm. So for the odds makers, I'm going to call the odds makers a win on that game against the algorithm. Not only shown by it being a loss, but it should have been down here, right? It should have been second to last game. Other stuff wins. Other stuff wins. Our profitability with every game is still 12%, but here's what I want to do. I want to say, all right, let's never play a team that's under 90% health. So we're going to filter, value filters greater than, health number is greater than 0.9. Or call it 0.899, whatever. That gets you to 8-1 because it removes Xavier and it removes somebody else also who was at 87% health down low. Gets you to 19% ROI. Right? So profitable in terms of a round robin also with all these games. So it's important to look at the health and make sure that you don't get caught with an injured team. So home teams, I'd say that's a pretty darn good day, especially knowing that this was not really a loss, in my opinion. And in the algorithm's opinion too, it's telling you don't take them when you see this. So, and take Buffalo, take Texas, look at them both cover against injured teams over here. Here's one that doesn't cover against injured team, but that's because it was 12 points. It's a ton of points. Although this one covers 11.5, whatever. All right, let's look at our away teams for a second, where there was some betting done. So you're 6-7, but we got to look at injuries. Here's an injured Tennessee, so that makes sense. East Carolina would have been another one that you would not have thought would have won, yet they somehow beat Tulsa, because I guess Tulsa's injured too. Here's another one you would have thought, well, anyway, these are all away teams, first of all, and away teams are 50-50 anyway, I kind of say. But is there anything of interest here? Does a home bump apply? The answer is kind of not really, though, because two of the bottom ones win. This Marquette Creighton game, I made a lot of money on this game too. I saw Marquette was supposed to barely win this game, and they were down, and I got them at a crazy line, and they came back to just take the lead on Creighton terribly. And then I got Creighton at an insane line, and then Creighton came back late. So I cashed out of the Marquette bet at like 85% of it. And then I had options to cash out the Creighton bet all the way from like only getting 10% of the wager to all the way up to like 2 times the wager in the last few minutes of the game before they froze it. And then they ended up losing. But I mean, just, it was an unbelievable game for betting both sides. It was just, if every game goes like this, man, you cannot lose money betting both sides. You just can't. And that's a game that's at the bottom of the list of an away team. Like, if you think about it, did all these games have close margins of victory? It's an interesting way to look at it. No's, a lot of no's here. They were closer up here almost. I mean, although the margin of victory is not the sole determinant about whether or not the game changed hands and leads frequently. For example, the Indiana-Michigan State game, I can remember looking at some of these scores, and I'll kind of go through them. Let's look at all of them, and I'll tell you about the ones I remember. So what I'm saying is that games at the bottom of the list are supposed to be the best to do this with, right? Well, this game, I can't really remember, but I think Miami was actually getting a very favorable line a lot of this game. So I think yes. And I don't think they won by a ton. Even though they won by 9, I think they pulled away. Toledo just absolutely crushed this game. So this was actually a bad game. Toledo was owning it the whole way. But they were home, so they're never telling you to take Akron anyway, because Toledo's home. So remember, it's away teams that we think that are going to win, that are going to cause these games to oscillate back and forth. So let me look at it separately. Let's go back to just the away teams for a second. I am saying the away teams at the bottom are great games to do this with. Indiana, Michigan State was good. Michigan State's line was positive early on when Indiana got off to a lead, and then they annihilated them. So you would have won there. I didn't make any bets on the game, but I kept looking at it. I think I just missed it when Michigan State started coming back early, but they were a positive line. Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan, I did not pay attention to this game. I can't answer that one. Baylor and Kansas State, yes. Yes, Baylor. I mean, this game was great for this in the first half. This game was the best game for doing betting both sides. Baylor got started down a lot, came back out of nowhere to take the lead and make Kansas State positive. So you could have got an excellent line on Baylor supposed to win early, and then you get a good line on Kansas State when they choke it toward the ends of the first half, I think it was. Like the middle or toward the end of the first half that happened, because I saw those lines switch and I was like, wow, this is great. So this was a very good one. Texas Tech and Oklahoma was also pretty good, I think. Actually, I don't know. I actually don't know that. I think Oklahoma might have come back closer and then lost it late, but there was a time when Oklahoma, who was home, was, I think, getting well, the question is, did they ever take a lead on Texas Tech? I don't know the answer to that. This might not have been a good game, and this one was fantastic. This one, I don't know. This one was probably really good with all these injuries and ended up being a game that was decided by 5 points. So probably yes. I don't know about any of these games except that oh yes, another thing. Sorry, there's another thing, which is even if you don't want to try to play both sides of the game, but you see a team at the top of the list here that starts off down and their line, because remember I said the lines are going to change in the earlier video today. I was like, the lines are always going to be better at some point for this team if you just pay attention long enough. Utah State, I got them at minus like 155, I think. Minus 150 or 160. I was just like, this is such a big margin. They were only down a few, and I was like, because this game was tied at half. Yeah, I got that at minus one something. It was better than 200 for sure. It was much better than this, but I was like, that's probably going to win. And it did. And I did the same thing on the home side, especially in a game that's still going on right now, which is why I said I still have active wagers. I have Nevada. And that game might have ended because I've been talking a long time. And San Diego State is up by 11 in the first half. So games they are up by a lot, and I assume, let's ask Google. Google can answer this for us. Nevada versus San Jose State college basketball score.
Currently, Nevada is leading San Jose State 62-48 in the second half.
Yeah, and there's a minute left, so we're gonna call that a win. Not a problem because they're a home team. So that did win. You know what I got their line at? I'd have to reopen it up. I believe I got them at minus 125. Minus 125. This team right here that's minus 425. I will double check just to tell you exactly, but that's about what it was. And it's because they were down like 7 points in the first 10 minutes of the game or something that does not matter, right? And the line, you start to see that, and that's why when you have like this faith in the algorithm, and like knowing that a home team with a margin of even just their margins, where the margins started to really go up and turn better colors. Their margin was 16.9%. So I saw that because I was browsing games and I was like, wait a minute, how big of a favorite according to the algorithm is this game? And I was like, oh yeah, they're home, they're good. This team's injured. I go 7 points does not matter. And so minus 125, I made the wager, even though it wasn't a positive line. I was like, this is too good to ignore right now, this early in the game. And it's that kind of action that is a supplement to also betting both sides, because you don't have to get a positive line. You bet minus 125. All you have to do is bet San Jose for a less amount of money, but at a better line, a better plus line. So like if San Jose State becomes plus 250 or 300, you don't bet 1 unit on it, you bet half a unit on it or whatever. And so even though you're getting paid minus 125 here, you're still going to make money overall. It's the same idea where you bet both sides of the game. They don't both have to be positive, but the weighted average of two has to be turn out to be positive in the payout. So like they need to add up, I guess, when you weight it out, they need to add up to more than 100, right? Or average out. I think that's right. So this was a good game for betting them, and they almost went positive, but I don't think they ever actually did. So this is I mean, I'm going to call this pretty successful. Were there any college basketball games that I said play that were a disaster for this? Well, the Air Force was a disaster because it didn't win. That was sad, but they did fight back. Like, you don't win them all. You get this. Like, you can't get upset with, certainly an injury, and you can't get upset with one game losing. Because I tell you, you're going to win 90% of your home games a lot of times. Well, we're at 83, but this one isn't really a loss. So, yeah. All right, guys. That's the update for Tuesday. I will be back for Wednesday. There's no NBA until Thursday, so it's just college basketball and I believe hockey again. And yeah, we'll keep on keeping on, but very predictable stuff. Lots of opportunities, like not getting too surprised and seeing a bunch of teams like get off to a lead and never look back. The Toledo was one of them. That was the one where, yeah, it didn't work in here. But this game worked. This game worked for sure. I saw this oscillate. I saw Missouri at a positive line. I remember seeing it. I didn't bet it, but I remember watching it. And the Murray State game was I shouldn't say it was a loss, because I took Murray State. I forgot about that. I took Murray State early on because I saw this game as supposedly being closer, but I didn't realize they were the away team, not the home team. And that's a bad play because the home team's supposed to win. So, all right. It's better to play those away teams at the bottom. All right. Good luck, everyone. I hope you picked one today, and I hope they will continue winning in the future. I'll see you on Wednesday. And I'm happy for all the subscribers. I see I'm picking them up. Every time I refresh, I start to have another subscriber. So I think people are liking what we're doing. I'll keep it up. All right. Later.